Yes, then I in my first year at university, I then applied to the government of Botswana. I got the bursary. I applied for South African Institute of Race Relations. I got the bursary. I applied to many places. In some places, I was told that, we don't give black people bursaries here. We only give white people. Yeah, they have been there. We've gone through all of these things. I'm not the only one. There are lots of us. I want to see a primary school teacher in South Africa with a PhD in physics, teaching those young people how to become a scientist. I want to see every one of us, young people, very young. I don't want to see old people in the lab. I want to see young people. My legacy is that let's get young people. Let them take over. Because you know what? In Latin, the language of the Pope, is a memento mori. We're all going to die one day. SA Science Spotlight podcast and get educated. Stop jiving. All the time you are jiving. Amampiano and whatever. I like Amampiano. It's our tradition, you know.
Welcome to another electrifying episode of SA Science Spotlight podcast, recorded at the University of Pretoria at Physics Department. I'm Rendo, and today we are honored to be in conversation with one of South Africa's scientists, Professor Diale. So Professor Diale is a distinguished South African physicist and academic leader, and she served as a full professor at the Department of Physics for over 2 decades. She holds a prestigious South African Research Chair initiative in clean and green energy, and she was awarded by the National Research Foundation in 2018. So, from growing up in a village without electricity to creating breakthroughs in solar energy, Professor Diale's journey proves that a curious mind, even when born into humble beginnings, can light up not just homes, but an array of futures. So she's a physicist who once turned everyday challenges into world-class research. As a young girl, she didn't just ask why, she asked how, and went on to publish over 100 scientific papers. And she also led award-winning research into clean and green energy. And she also went on to mentor a generation of scientists who will forever define South Africa's future. Today, we're diving into her journey, one that spans building SARChI barrier deals for ultraviolet detection, developing affordable solar technology for informal settlements, and fighting for women's voices in the field of science. Get ready for yet another story about brilliance, resilience, and the unstoppable power of dreaming bigger than your circumstances. Professor Diale, welcome to the podcast. We are honored to have you here. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. So I actually found out that you were actually at the US in the past weeks. So I wanted to ask, how is the climate of US now that President Trump is the president there? How is it?
We don't feel it. It's felt by those people who are being called you are illegal in those countries. We completely don't feel it. We continue with our conference. I didn't feel any Trump there. Yeah, no feeling. I didn't hear anybody. You know, they would make jokes, but it didn't affect us at that conference.
What kind of jokes would they make?
Like, well, we are happy that we are here, and then President Trump has not come to kick us out, you know? Yeah, and as a South African, we get the agreements between South Africa and US, which are long-standing. We get 10 years visa. So I don't have to be worried when I am in the US. I just have to respect the visa rules and the laws of the US, the normal laws. Yeah, so in our conference, we really did not feel Trump.
You really didn't feel it.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting for me that, this was not only the first time you being in a global stage, but you are an African who's been presenting Africa in that global stage. So how does it feel to actually be African and be traveling and representing yourself as who you are, and with the intellectual academic background that you have? How does it feel?
It's wonderful. It's really very nice to be out there. I am a member of Materials Research Society, which has got its head office in Pennsylvania, in the US. And I've been participating fully in this Materials Research Society since 2012 fully. I would go maybe 2010 and come back, and then I'll go 2025, that kind of thing. But I have known about MRS, we call it MRS, Materials Research Society, since 1993 when I first went to the US on F1 visa, meaning that I had to go there for a certain time, did my studies and come back.
So you did, how long was it?
I went to write my master's thesis there. It was about 6 months.
6 months. So you lived there for 6 months?
Yeah.
And how was it?
It was nice. It was nice, but you'd miss home because, we come from a different background. The guys there behave differently. But I was at the historically white university. Though my professor there was a black person, Terry Alford, who understood what it means to be black. And I have met many different people when I was there who did not understand what Africa is all about. Where people will ask you if you bought your A6.
A6?
Yeah, the shoes called A6.
Which ones?
You are a young person. There is a label of tekis called
A6.
We call it giteki. Sneakers, we call them sneakers, giteki. A6. They would ask you, did you buy this at the airport? I said, what do you mean? I come from South Africa.
Oh!
They don't know the difference between, there's still lots of people who don't know the difference between South Africa and the rest of Africa.
Oh, as in the difference between South Africa and the jungle, in other words. As in, did you get it?
Yeah,
do they sell those
maybe they thought that way. Yeah, though I don't like to say Africa is the jungle. It's a beautiful place.
Yes.
Yeah, so my trips to the US have been consistent. I have used this long-term visa, short-term visas, and the long-term visa, I've just finished one in 2022 and I started a new one now. For the next 10 years, if I want to go to the US, I just buy my ticket and I go there. Yeah.
So you have, even when you apply for a visa, there's like a long list of, you've been there, you've done things there.
Yes.
It's much easier, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I also read that you actually grew up in a village where there was no electricity.
Yes, I come from this village called Makahu. It's not far from here.
Is it?
It's 30 minutes drive from here.
Is it in Limpopo or still in Gauteng?
They call it Northwest.
Northwest. I thought it was.
No.
Yeah.
It's not far. I can just say to you, I'll be home
in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So how was it growing up in a village, and how did that early experience of not having electricity just influence you?
For me, I come from a privilege. My dad knew, my dad had a business in Maravastad. So, and then they with forced removals, they had to close their businesses in Maravastad and their houses in Lady Selborne and went back to the village. And he had the generator. So we had a generator to do electricity. Yeah, but if you were in a city, it was going to be different. So as we grew up, there was no electricity in our village. For many years, actually, for us to have electricity in our village during Bubutatswana time, me and my husband, we come from the same village. We're just activists, and we worked a lot with the Catholic Church in the village, the Sisters of Mercy, and we were able to make sure that we get electricity. So the poles that came into my village first was at my home and my husband's home, and the Catholic mission in that place.
And how long was this ago?
1983. Yeah, that's when we brought it there.
So even Prof, before we even go into the entire story, let's just rewind the clock a bit and go back to your upbringing. How was it studying and how you grew up? I just want to know your life story. And because when we look at the current Prof, we also need to know where she began, because humble beginnings also lead to greatness in the future. So how did your upbringing, how was it like for you?
I was brought up in a home where we were 7 children, and we have a house. It's still standing there in the village, the house. So you'd have, I'm speaking of a house because people think that when you come from a village, all of you come from Mukuku or some Kuyamu, which when it's rainy, it will fall. No. My mother's house is still standing. Very strong house. It's just that it's an old type of a house. If I have money, I'll go there and put it down and or get ideas from whoever and refurbish it. So I grew up in that village in Macau, and I went to school to a place called Tlhopane Primary School. And then from there I went to Macau Memise second high school. What did they call it? Higher primary school. And then I went to Mmantsae Moche Secondary School, and I went to boarding school, Sikitla High School, where I got my matric. And it was, for me, being in the village, I salute all those primary school teachers, all those high school teachers, and even the people in the village, the church where you go to. It was, you were raised by a community. You were not raised alone. So as I continue with life, my dad died when I was 8 years old, but I believe this thing, I'm not sure if it's psychology or whatever, that between the ages of 0 and 7, you are established as a person. I don't know psychology man at all, but I think the things that you learn from home, they stay with you forever.
Yes.
So I was raised in this home where I saw my dad cooking. He was a businessman. He was not working for anybody. And one of his friends many years later told me that, your dad never wanted to work. He was always in business. So I come from that kind of background. And my mother was doing sewing. She was making clothes. People will bring material and she will make clothes for people. So that's how I grew up. Some of the highlights of my growing up is that one of those people we call Rakadi, you know, he was a nursing sister at the time at HFF Road Hospital, which is Steve Biko today.
Oh, the Steve Biko.
Yes. She would come and give us injection. And my question was, why is Rakadi always coming here to give us injection? I just don't know what she was giving us. But maybe because my father and Rakadi were close, Rakadi would give us injection, maybe. Was it Biko? Vitamin B? Or was it flu thing? I just don't know.
It was probably flu.
Because it was, she would come and give us injection. And I tell Rakadi's children today, I said, please, let's never say we come from poverty. I hate this thing that everybody who comes from villages, you come from poverty. No, I don't come from poverty. we don't come from poverty. Yeah, maybe when my dad has gone, it was a bit difficult. But really, because you are raised by the village, you never had serious things that are called poverty that we are seeing today. That's why maybe some people like me would find it difficult to understand what is this poverty thing. But I started understanding poverty when I started visiting Africa. Yeah, that's how I grew up in the village.
Where in Africa did you visit?
I've gone to Zambia many times. And I'm still one of those who don't consider Lesotho, Botswana, Swaziland as outside.
It's home.
No, it's just here.
It's the same as Botswana. Botswana is very close to Rustenburg. Very close.
It's one people. We speak the same language.
Really? I thought, what language? Don't they, you speak Tswana?
Setswana.
Setswana. So I was actually I wanted to travel to Botswana in the recent weeks. But when they told me that you need I honestly thought you didn't need a passport to go to Botswana. Because even when I checked using a bus, it was like only 6 hours from here, Pretoria to Gaborone. So I was like, yeah, it's Gaborone. I always pronounce it as Gaborone.
Let's try to speak the real. When I go to... when I look at you come from not that you come from Venda, you are from the Venda community. You may be here in Gauteng, it's not an issue. But I like this, there is something, a sticker that the Venda people put on their cars, was Shumela Venda.
Do you know what it means?
We work for them. Yes. And they do that.
Yes, they do that, yes. So, was there a moment in your family, something that influenced you to go and study the world of science, or a curiosity, a moment that built that curiosity for you?
Because my dad was in construction business. He was in construction, he was in photography business. Our games, when you play, you'll go into the place where he's working, and then you'll use the tools, you know, screwdrivers, and, you know, I think those are the influences that made you to do that. But I think as a person, I was very curious in life. So I'll sit there and do some things. You know, I'm going to say this joke. One day, maybe this curiosity, I took perfume. It was, you know, like in these big bottles of doom, but it was perfume, and I started dooming the whole house. Because I was trying to remove all the ants. Yeah. And then when people came back, they find the house smelling very nice. They asked me, what did you do? And I told them, and they laughed at me. So I have just been a very curious person. Very, very curious. Yeah. And everything that I touch, I want to know, why is it there? How does it come? And yeah, that's how we grew up. But also, remember, in our times, the professions that were available for us was medicine, policeman, nurse, teacher. Yeah, those were our professions. So for you to think engineering, was like, what do you want to do? I have applied many years ago to the post office because they were training electronic people. They never even answered my application, but because, you know, it was that time when it was only for those white people. Yeah.
So from finishing your matric, how was your journey now getting into a university?
I took some time before coming to the university. I did matric in 1976. So if you have been there in 1976, where we were at boarding school called Skita High School, I had my friends who are now lawyers like Matseko Ramagaga. Yeah, you know, all of us went to New York. One day during that 1976 thing, we were caught up by the police, and then we were put for 2 weeks at that New York.
You were part of that struggle as well?
Yes. There are too many people who are into the struggle that it is wrong to think it's only a certain group of people who liberated the country. Even our mothers who were working in domestic, Waterproof Ridge or Blaigori, you know, people, they will come and say, I'm working in Blaigori, in Johannesburg or Sandton. They also contributed towards the struggle. Struggle has not been done by a few people, and I would like all people in South Africa, South Africans, to embrace the fact that all of us were involved. So I was part of the struggle, 1976.
It's actually a lesson to me. I actually thought, you see the ones you see on the news when they said this one, I thought those were the only ones at that time.
There are so many people. Those who are not even interested in coming into politics. Those who are not even interested in doing anything. One time, I went into some villages in Rustenburg, deeper villages, and an old man there said to me, your last name is Moche? I said, yes. He said, I'm the one who facilitated the group of people who went into exile, and one of them is Moche. And I know that Moche very well. In our culture, we are all brothers if we share SNA. And some people say cousin. We don't have cousins. Cousin ke ngwana rakgadi. But when it is your dad who is a Moche like my dad, you and I are sisters or brothers. We are not cousins. Cousin ke letsa school. So I was part of the struggle. I was there at the Biko inquest at the synagogue here in Pretoria. Yeah, we ran around, we did things. And I always remembered what my dad, who was more into reasoning these things, that you cannot go and work. You must always try to do your own business so that you can support yourself. I come from a background where we support everybody in the village. If at that family does not have food and we have food, we have to share with them. I'm good. I'm coming from that background of sharing. So, for example, when I was growing at home, it was like a feeding center. When people get out of the church, which was very close to our home, my dad would expect us, before you go to church, you cook big pots. Because when people get out of the church, they will come and get lunch. So I'm used to that, you know. One of my old cousins who passed on a long time ago, but very old, not really who could be old enough to be my mother. She once explained to me why when she comes from church, she comes to uncle's home. And I was asking her, we call her Isos. In our village, when we say Isos, we mean big sister. If I want to attract someone very big, like the president's wife, I would say to her Isos, she will know that we come from the same place. So, as she told me that we must always cook at home because the uncle, which is my dad, has made them to know that there must always be food at home. So yeah, that's how we come up. And then going back to the struggle, after 1976, we didn't get those excellent matric results. And we didn't know much, and nobody was there to explain some things to us that, no, go back, go and do a repetition and whatever. But because I was a maths specialist, maths and physical science, principals will just come and grab you at home. Say, come and teach.
At school?
Yeah, come. There's a position there. We don't have a mathematics teacher. Come. And we'd go there. I would go there and teach. And I developed the liking for teaching. But before then, I've never taught. And I was not trained to teach. So after some years of teaching like that, one of my cousins, Mani Mule, Wanarakaji, said to me, who was a teacher, said to me, Mani, meaning younger sister, please go and do a teacher's certificate and stop this thing of just teaching without the certificate. That's when I discovered that there's a university called Unibo, University of Bophuthatswana, and I went there. I did not even know that I had to apply for bursary of the government of Bophuthatswana or apply for study leave, and then I'll be supported. When I arrived at the university thinking that I'll save some money and then I'll be able to go through everything, I started learning these things that no, it's easy for you to get a bursary during the time and be able to pursue this BSc degree. So I really believe that the University of Bophuthatswana, with professors like Taule, the head of Department of Physics, all those people, Professor Khadina Bukau, who is well known in the PSL, he likes soccer, but he was a nuclear specialist. So we were taught physics there. And then from there, that's when I started knowing that I can go into further degrees. But before then, no, we didn't know much.
So it's after that you now realize that, oh, you have to apply. And then...
Yes, then I in my first year at university, I then applied to the government of Bophuthatswana. I got the bursary. I applied for South African Institute of Race Relations. I got the bursary. I applied to many places. In some places, I was told that, oh, we don't give black people bursaries here. We only give white people. Yeah, they have been there. We've gone through all of these things. I'm not the only one. There are lots of us who have gone through this. And then I got bursaries. I also even got a merit bursary because
from the university.
From the university after first year, my first year results were very good. So they gave me a merit bursary. So getting 3 bursaries was like, the university don't allow people to have more than 1 bursary. But because I was a matured person, I was able to negotiate with the university to leave me with my bursaries. And they left me with my bursaries.
So you had 3.
Yeah. So when I go home during holidays, my relative, my own brother David, my brothers, my sisters did not believe that I am a student. She's lying. She has money. She must be working in Mafike. And yeah, I had money because I was able to negotiate. I'm a great negotiator. You can negotiate with me. I negotiate very well. So that's how I came. And then I was teaching at Hebron College. And then someone at Medunsa, at Manzingu, one of the physicists, attracted me, heard about me, and invited me to his office when he was head of Department of Physics in Medunsa, which we now call Sifako Makato. And when I arrived, they said, oh, I'm looking for students to do an honors degree in physics. Can you come? I said, oh, yes, exciting. I didn't want to do that honors degree at Unibo. They did invite me at Unibo to do an honors degree. But because of Mzabalazo, I ran away. I said, no, I'm not going back there. I will end up in jail there. So I came to Medunsa, and Professor Zingu, Edmund Zingu, used to ask me this question. Don't you think this politics that you are doing, whatever you are doing then, you may jeopardize yourself? I said, no, I have to do them. I still am going to do them. I'm still doing them. When you look at people who appear on TV doing this, talking too much, doing whatever, it's like there are no other people in the background. Woo!
There are a lot. It's a mass country thing.
It's a many people. So I then went to Medunsa to do an honors degree in physics. And then I went on to do a master's degree with the same Professor Zingu, who introduced me to this material science. I did not know anything. He introduced me to material science. He took me to, today they say Itemba Labs. That time it was called National Accelerator Center in Cape Town. And there was a building there called MRG, Materials Research. And then I did a lot of my experiments there. So my degree in in master's degree in physics was my registered at Medusa with Professor Zingu, and he asked Professor Ray, Ray at UCT to supervise me when I am in Cape Town. And first time I went into an aeroplane, went to Cape Town, and did experiments and come back to Medusa to teach at Medusa. In the master's degree, even Sepo knows, in this department, we give students a chance to teach, to do tutoring, so that they can have a feel of what we're doing. So I was teaching at Medusa and go to Cape Town, and there Professor Zingu again connected me to his own supervisor in the US. Even Professor Craig Comrie was his own PhD supervisor at UCT. So I went to Arizona State University and Cornell University in the US, where I met Professor James Mayer, J.W. Mayer, and that's where the world just opened up. So I attribute all this to all the people who have taken me from
A to B
A
to B.
to today. Yeah, they have contributed.
Said you were mentioning people from point A who took you from point A to B. Yes.
So in the physics career, Mmantsae introduced me to this world of material science. And at UNIBO, University of Bophuthatswana, today is Northwest University, I was very good at theoretical physics. So I was very good with mathematics. I was very good with theoretical physics. I could do calculations and enjoy them. And at the University of Bophuthatswana, I remember there were people from Iran, Professor Mori, who was teaching us mathematics. There was a professor from Iran also, Madani, who was teaching us quantum mechanics. And they could not speak English. So I realized that, wow, English is not a big thing.
So what did you learn without English?
No, we was, Sipitori, Ramixa, we work that. And for example, Prof Madani, when he was giving us a break in class, he said, Kit Kat. Because there was an advert, give me a break, called Kit Kat on TV. So I really appreciate all the people who have taught me there. There is a professor, when one day I was really depressed, and they said to me, go and see SARChI, Professor Mmantsae. And I went to see SARChI, and she talked to me, and SARChI became a very great friend of mine up to today. So I just want to acknowledge everybody who has contributed to this person called me. Yes, so yeah, that's what happened. So from UCT, when after many years I decided to write that master's thesis and graduated. So when you look at me, you say, oh, you only graduated MSc in 1998? I said, yeah. It's not about years. I like here at the University of Pretoria, we have got Professor Brenda Winfield, who likes saying to me, it's not about years. It's about the science that you are doing. Some people like you're doing medicine, say, oh, I still have to do community service. It's part of growing, it's part of collecting your CV. So, and then from there, Professor Craig Comrie, one day we were in Cape Town, he said to me, hey, go to the University of Pretoria. There is a Professor Oret there. I'll send him an email. And you go there, you talk to him, he will give you a chance to do your PhD there. So that's when I came here to do PhD. My first 3 years, I refused to teach. I wanted to do this and get rid of it. But after doing the experiments in the SARChI barrier diodes, I know it's another thing, it's another, like your light now, it has got here the diodes inside there. So we are making the diodes here in the lab, 5, 6. SARChI barrier diodes, doing the DLTS, DLTS, it's an instrument that we use to do the deep levels defects in the materials. When I say material, some people think of the clothing material.
Yes.
We mean semiconductor materials. A semiconductor is a material like silicon, which we use to make the solar cells. And the small solar cells, we put them together to make a module. And we put together all these modules to make the panel that you see on top of the roof, as if there is some blue stuff on the roof. All of them come from a material called silicon, which is a semiconductor.
And when you arrived here, you were like, science is everything. Everything you see here.
I'm just like that. Even in high school where I taught, I used to say, science is everywhere. Let's look at this room. There's lots of science in here. There is so much science in this room. You guys are applying our scientific tools. One time, I sometimes listen to people who want to claim they know physics. One time, there was someone who is a medical doctor who did a PhD using nuclear technology. We are the owners of the nuclear.
True.
Physics, we are the owners of the nuclear. Go to Russia. Go to that research center that we are going to all the time here in South Africa, to Russia. It's about nuclear. So this medical doctor who was using nuclear technologies to do his PhD, now he calls himself a nuclear physicist. Nuclear scientist. I am not going to argue with this person. I'm a physicist. I know what is it. So many people are using our instruments to be where they are. You medical doctors, you can't survive without XRD, X-ray. If I call it XRD, X-ray diffraction, you will not get it. But if I say X-ray, when you say X-ray, let them go to X-ray. It's us, physicists, who have developed X-ray. So those instruments that you see everywhere, that's why I say physics everywhere. Yeah, it's physics everywhere. These lights, it's physics everywhere. If I can just come with a prism and decide to divide this light, you'll see that it's not white light. It's a mixture of colors that has made this white light. So I love my physics. And thanks to those who contributed, like Professor Taule at the University of Botswana, Unibo, Northwest University, Professor Zingu, may his soul rest in peace, he has passed on. Professor Craig Comrie, may his soul rest in peace. J.W. Mayer, may his soul rest in peace. And all the people at the University of Pretoria Department of Physics, in particular, Johan Malherbe, he's still alive. And he still comes here once in a while. He really encouraged me to stay here when I really wanted to go away. I remember when the Director General of Science here, Department of Science and Technology, wanted me to come there. That time I was deep into science. I was not interested in going anywhere. And Professor Malherbe was encouraging me to go there, but I didn't want to go. I was really so in love with science that I didn't want to go anywhere. So I'm very happy about what I've gone through, the work of semiconductors that I'm still doing now. The latest that we are doing in solar cells, material that we are using now is the latest material. It's called perovskite. And I was talking to a professor from Dave Billing, who has specialized in this perovskites. He said, you have been doing this for many years. But remember, I'm a physicist. I did not know that these things have been there for so long. And we are using these perovskites to develop solar cells, solar materials. We have not yet commercialized the perovskites, though it has got a very high efficiency, photoconversion efficiency, that it is able to quickly take the light of the sun and change it into electricity. That's the photoconversion efficiency. It has got a very good photo conversion efficiency, which has surpassed the photo conversion efficiency of silicon, which is stable at some 22 to 25%. And these perovskites have gone very quick beyond that in less than 10 years. It was discovered as a solar cell in 2009. By 2019, its photo conversion efficiency was already extremely high, more than 20, more than silicon. So we are playing around with this photo conversion efficiency of the solar cells. And we hope with our collaborations with Swansea University in the UK, who are already having a 30 by 30 centimeters, 30 by 30 centimeters, like a ruler, right?
Yes.
It's a big thing.
Yeah.
Of a solar cell, solar cell. We hope will be there also. And with our collaboration, with Matthew Davis at Swansea University, it's a network of people, and also Dr. Lethi at University of St. Andrews. Yeah, that's
St. Andrews. It's
in the US.
in the US. Okay.
No, in the UK. In UK. Yeah, it's called University of St. Andrews. So I really love my physics. I'm very happy I made a great choice.
Okay, so currently, what does your day-to-day work include? What do you do on a day-to-day basis, especially when you're leading a research group? How does it go like?
In the morning, I arrive here. Usually, I like arriving here at 6 o'clock and read my emails and be able to know exactly what is urgent on my plate, the first quadrant, the quadrants. In mathematics, the first quadrant, the second quadrant.
First, second, third, and then fourth.
The first quadrant is always emergencies. So when I come in the morning, I go into the first quadrant, I look at the emergencies, and I move what is not emergent to second quadrant, just like that until I reach the fourth quadrant. So that's my day. I have started. Then the next thing, I call my students one by one. Can you come to my office? Let's check especially on Mondays, let's check your progress. What have we been doing? And then after that, I come into the boardroom, and then we have a group meeting on the same day, Monday. And then we discuss together what is the problem. Because when you come as a group, you are able to help one another. At postgraduate, there's nothing like Nike Butlale, I'm better than others. No, it's about how you interact with people. So it's team building. So that's how my day is like. I used to like going to the lab to do experiments. And one of my PhD students many years ago, from Botswana, found me in the lab and said to me, "What are you doing in the lab?" I said, "I'm doing an experiment." He said, "If you do an experiment, what must I do as a student?" Oh, okay, thanks, Kilebukile. So I go to the lab once in a long time to do experiments. But I check everything that students are doing. I'm sitting with them in the lab, they're mixing stuff. I make them aware that is not how we mix. Please change that, It's dangerous to use that acid the way you're using it. Let's use it this way. So I train students. I show them exactly how they have to work.
Okay. So you co-founded Women in Physics in South Africa, WiPiSA, in 2005. I wanted to know what led you to actually co-founding that.
I'm actually
the founder.
Yes. The Department of Science and Technology wanted to celebrate the 2005 called the International Year of Physics. And they decided that they want to do something about women in physics. So they came with some people from Wits to here with Professor Mmantsae called me. I was the only person doing physics. I'm actually the first black woman who continued with physics through Professor Putingwe. He met me at one of the South African Institute of Physics conferences. I'm so impressed. There's a woman who wants to do physics. And I love that. And I hate this first black syndrome. It's a syndrome. Please, let's get it out of our minds.
Yes, definitely.
I don't know the first Indian, the first the first Chinese. No, let's get it. I don't like it anymore. So then with the Department of Science and Technology, led by Minister Msibudi Manyena, the Director General was Rob Adam. I wrote a very lousy proposal. They said to me, I said, proposal, what is that? They guided me throughout. Tsepo Sekwe, may his soul rest in peace. They guided me, Claudina. All of them guided me how to write it. I didn't know how to do it. But I have got one thing very special with me. I listen. If you show me how to do it, I'm going to listen, I'm going to do it. So I wrote that proposal, and then we launched the Women in Physics in 2005. That's why we now come to co-founding with a group of people from physics. Diane Grayson, Eagle Gladhill, Nene Sikabi, Jackie Nell. Yeah, there were a number of us when we launched this Women in Physics. Zindle who is, if we want to say, at first, she's our first black woman to do a PhD in nuclear physics. She's still working at the CERN in Switzerland. She is the specialist.
And so is
CERN. Sorry, it's called CERN. CERN. It's a CERN.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It's a French word, so please allow me not to say it. But I'm going to learn French now. So that's how we started Women in Physics, Sarah Bokna. We then launched Women in Physics here in South Africa. I remember Kevin Kevin Naidu. Kevin was our, let me just get the last name of Kevin. Kevin was our photographer. I didn't even understand. They tell me, let's do it this way. I didn't do it alone. They were there to guide me. And I liked the guidance that they gave me. So that's how we started Women in Physics. And then we started focusing on what are the needs. What is that makes people to become a woman in physics? We realized that in the lab, even in high school, even in private school, when it comes to doing things, women stand at the back. And they do this and they look at what men are doing. And also influenced by twice. Twice. You give the girl body.
Oh, yes.
Soapy. And then you give the boy a car.
And a gun.
And a gun. When are we going to give our girls this? So Dan Grayson wrote us a very nice a program of how we're going to move. So I like this one when we went to a high school to go and just introduce women in physics there. And your resistors. Resistors. It's a wire.
Yes. Yeah. They taught us in grade 12.
Yeah, and then it has got colors. This colors tells you about resistance. This one has got this amount of resistance and whatever. So if you are again, we guided you to make a necklace with those resistors. And then you say calculate the total resistance. So you'll find that your resistance is 80. So you are stubborn. It's resistance. I don't want it. So we taught people that kind of thing. It was very nice. Women in Physics succeeded because we were a group working together. We were not competing. And Professor Haram Moral said to me one day, how are you able to put all these women together and there is no fighting? I said, see, that's me. I'm a leader. I'm a leader, can take something that is zero and make it excellent. And I don't argue with people who want to take my position. Get it, take it, I'll get another one. Yes. So yeah, that's how we started Women in Physics. It is running very well. And we've given it to young people now. Katekani Shingage from somewhere there in Limpopo, she loves it. She's the chair of Women in Physics today. And she tells me that the day she graduated a PhD with a red gown, she went home
and her father who had taken some drink and it's, so he told other people that your children have got degrees. Not degrees. My daughter has got the best degree. That's why she's wearing red, others are wearing black. So please welcome. Let's all go wear red, those who want to do PhD. But there's nothing wrong in not doing PhD. There's completely nothing wrong. We need everybody. You are doing medicine, you are doing media, you are doing media, you are doing media, you are doing physics. Let's put all our ideas together. What is physics? Physics is a degree that teaches you to think, thinking skills. Even now when people say, oh, we're struggling in the municipality, we're not able to hire proper people. Come on, hire these graduates in physics. They will go there and reason. Just give them the project. They must go and read about the project and come up with a solution. Physicists are the ones.
Prof, you've also said that science should serve the society. So I wanted to just ask that, since science should serve the society, not just in textbooks, what does a sustainable and science-driven South Africa look like in 10 years?
Wow, that would be nice. Give me the leadership of it. I'm the leader. I will lead the science. You remember your basic sciences, what we did in high school, physical science?
Yes.
Biology?
Yes. Physical science, we did electrostatics, we did Newton's law, we did waves energy, we did power, we did work, in chemistry, chemical equilibrium, all those things. Yeah.
What I hate most in chemistry is titrating. What do you call it?
Titrating. Yes.
I always miss the mark. That's how I ended up in physics. But if we can take all the three, chemistry, physics, and biology, and put them together, we will solve a lot of problems in material science, because nothing will produce anything without these materials and develop materials. I'll just look at you. You know, these days you're wearing some things that are called heat, whatever. You go to Woolies and it says this vest, it's heat. It's able to produce heat. Heat comes from you, nature. Heat comes from you. But this material that they have used to make a vest, we call it vest. What do you call it? Spencer.
Spencer.
Yeah. To make that, it will be able to catch this heat and protect it and not allow it to go quickly out. So you don't need a heavy coat. You don't need mink. You don't need to destroy animal life for those who are vegans, and But science will definitely solve the problems of the country, South Africa. I went to a place called Hammanskraal not long. When I arrived in the village, in that area, I was greeted by dirty things, plastic. Dirty things that are supposed to be in a dump. You call it what? Refuse dump. Oh, it was everywhere. And I look at that and I say, if we can come with money and get a few people who are unemployed and put them each here and say, you collect plastic, you collect bottle, you collect
paper.
Yeah. And we put them together. We'll be able to make a very wonderful thing, separate, make the compost. We're solving a problem for the farming industry. Then the plastics, you are cleaning up the environment. You can use the material to start even bricks. Mix stuff, bricks, you solve problems. So science is all out to solve problems.
So when it comes to, you are a physicist. If you weren't one, what would you be?
If I was not a physicist, what could I have been? Ooh.
I wanted to be an astronomer.
Oh, okay. I could have been
Yeah, I like astronomy. I still go there. I like that. I would be a kind of a person who's following nature. Like, where are the eclipses? They say eclipses here, I would go there. Astronomy, it's an example, yeah.
Okay, so I have another question for you here, Prof. What's one misconception about scientists or physics that you wish you could change?
Is that you're going to do science? Oh, you're going to be poor. No money there. No money. That's a misconception that I would want to change.
Okay. And what do you hope to leave behind as your legacy in South African science?
I want to see the whole country, South Africa, South Africans, in the academic space, in the research space. We start first with academia. I want to see a primary school teacher in South Africa with a PhD in physics, teaching those young people how to become a scientist. I want to see every one of us, young people, very young. I don't want to see old people in the lab. I want to see young people. My legacy is that let's get young people. Let them take over. Because you know what? In Latin, the language of the Pope, we say memento mori. We're all going to die one day. The day I'm sleeping in my box, no casket, please. You must be able to say, I have become, because I have listened to this podcast. I want young people to be very aggressive about their country, to go all out to do the right things. I want the young people to respect adults. I want the young people to want to do the best in everything that they do. Anything that you do, I want you to do the best.
Okay. Prof, we've reached actually the end of our session today, but I wanted to give you, if you have a final message that you want to tell each and everyone, this is the platform to do so.
Yeah, I encourage people, everybody, you young people in particular who play with social media, go to this platform,
SA Science Spotlight Podcast.
SA Science Spotlight Podcast, and get educated. Stop jiving. All the time you are jiving. Amapiano and whatever. I like Amapiano, is our tradition. You know, when I go to Senegal or I go to Uganda and I hear them playing Mampiano, I cannot dance, but I stand up and just do this. So young people, use this podcast and learn and listen carefully and see your future in this. It's all about you, young people.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of our conversation today with Professor Diale, a true pioneer who proves that science isn't about labs and research papers only, but about changing lives, creating access, and lighting up the futures of South Africans. So, ladies and gentlemen, her commitment to science has actually inspired me today, and I hope it also has inspired you as well. Professor Diale, thank you so much for joining us today. And to everyone listening, I want to also encourage you to use this story as a reminder that where you start, no matter how tough the journey, your dreams are valid and you can actually achieve what you want to achieve. This has been SA Science Spotlight Podcast. From myself to you, please keep dreaming, keep achieving, and keep doing the most. That's it.
Cheers.
Thank you.